Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of The Authentic Physician, a show about ambition, identity, and the health transitions high achieving women are rarely prepared for. If you're juggling leadership, caregiving, a body that suddenly has its own agenda, well, you're not alone. Here, we're going to have honest conversations about medicine, meaning, midlife, what it takes to lead without losing yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment. And today I have with me a guest. I'm delighted to introduce you all to Dr. Neeli. She is going to tell us a little bit more about what she does and who she serves and where she's at. So, Dr. Neeli, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. So I am Dr. Neeli Singh. I'm an endocrinologist and also a Menopause Society Certified Physician, as well as obesity and lifestyle medicine physician. And my focus is helping people with diabetes, thyroid conditions, weight, and women's hormonal health, especially during perimenopause and menopause. But more than that, I love helping patients understand their metabolism and how their body is actually working.
It's fascinating because you would think in all of our health classes we would understand how our bodies are working, and yet we don't, right? So, when we first got connected for our listeners, it was actually through a social group that we're both in, and we have a lot of the same training. So you might ask, well, why did I want to bring on Dr. Neely? Well, I think it's really important that women, specifically women, 35 to 55, they're juggling multiple things. They have their full time job they're paid for, and then their other full time job they're not paid for. They're being given mixed messages from media, from what they've learned all their life or thought they learned, right? From their
Yeah.
mothers, from their neighbors, and it gets really confusing. So I wanted to have Dr. Neely with us to really go a little bit deeper. What's that next level? A little bit more than what you're hearing in your Facebook mom group. So,
So, yeah, you're so right. I kept seeing patients who were doing everything right, eating well, exercising, but still struggling with their weight, their energy, blood sugar, mood changes. And many of them would tell you that they have been telling this to their, friends and providers and just felt kind of not heard.
right.
And they were told that everything was normal. So
Mm,
that gap really stayed with me because in traditional medicine, we are just go, go, go. We have
yes.
these tiny slots we're seeing patients. And at the end of the day, we have to have a certain number that we are doing. So care is often rushed, fragmented,
Yes.
and very protocol driven. I mean, I didn't mean to do this, but it is indeed very protocol
Right.
driven. And
Yep.
we don't always have the time to understand the full picture. With
Yes.
metabolic and hormonal health, that context is everything. You need to know the lifestyle. You need to know how we are sleeping, how we are eating, how stressful the life is. Not just, okay, I see a lab and that's normal and okay, fine, you're all done.
Yes.
So that is the reason I built EndoHarmony, which is my practice, kind of to create space for more thoughtful care, longer visits, direct access, and
Mhm.
a focus on root
Yes.
causes, right?
Yes.
So it allows us to combine medical treatment with lifestyle and hormonal insight in a way that feels much more complete, right?
Yes. Beautifully stated. And I'm
Okay.
sure that our listeners may be a little bit curious. Between you use the word root cause, which where I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, that often equals functional medicine. And so I'm wondering if they might be thinking, what is lifestyle medicine that you're doing and how is that different than functional medicine?
Good question. Good question. So lifestyle medicine is basically fixing your chronic health issues by changing your lifestyle. You know how we talk about there are different types of diabetes, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 happens because we don't have insulin. Type 2 happens because life gets to us. We start gaining weight. Even if we are not very heavy, we have a belly with visceral fat, which is making us insulin resistant. So everything can be modified, if not completely fixed, by changing our lifestyle, which has these 6 pillars that we talk about. What you are eating, food is medicine. We could not say it many times, like food is medicine. What we are eating defines us and helps us. So exercise, that's so important, especially for women. in their 40s and onwards. Not that it's not important beforehand, but
Mhm.
at this stage, it's so important for us to do our weightlifting exercises and, walking, going out in sun, stress reduction. We have our busy lives. We are moms. We are caregivers. We are taking care of our parents. We are seeing patients, and it's always busy, busy. So we have this stress. So we got to work on reducing stress, avoiding all those chemicals that we don't want it, smoking or drinking. Having a good sleep is so important. It's so
Yeah.
underrated. We don't talk about this enough. Most common thing I would see patients coming in and they are like, I'm exhausted. And then you talk about their sleep, and I haven't had a good sleep in months.
Mhm.
No reason.
Yeah.
Like, no wonder we are exhausted. So that's why the lifestyle medicine is, it's real, it's science. Multiple studies show that if we improve our lifestyle,
Mm.
our metabolism improves, our hormone improves, sleep, nutrition, everything, they're all connected.
Yes.
So when we look at them together, we can often make meaningful changes. And we need time. That's the
Mm.
main thing. We need time to go through a patient's daily life, like how you are doing from morning to evening. Where can we find time for you to get some exercise? Like, I can write exercise prescription all I want, but if I don't find time in your
Right.
schedule, you are going to leave it.
Yeah, if you can't figure out the how, it's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's a great point that you bring up, and I actually think of lifestyle medicine. I agree with everything you say. I
Yeah.
have a hard time explaining it to patients in a very
Yeah.
capsulated way, so I tend to call it just the medicine of your habits.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's what your
beautiful.
habits are in each way,
Mm.
right? And at
Yeah.
least for me, and I suspect most humans, it's really hard to change 6 habits at once. And so you pick one and you work
One
on it,
at a time.
dedicate it, right? 30, 60, 90 days, whatever. So I think of it that way. And one of the things I'm particularly interested in, going back to the functional medicine, I have a number of patients who will come in, they'll say their endocrinologist saw them and they felt blown off, so they went to functional medicine, and then they found the thyroid disease that the endocrinologist missed or the adrenal fatigue with, right? So there is so much in our noise purview of this. So tell us from your perspective, do these things exist? If they don't exist, is that just because we're conventional medicine and we're blindsided like the functional medicine people say, or what's the story?
So, as we say, right, health is not just about numbers. It's about how you feel, function, and live your life. And that's what we try to help patients get back to. So, if I'm seeing a patient and they are on thyroid medicine and they come to me and saying that, hey, my numbers have been normal, but I am not myself.
Mm,
I have bunch of things going on. So unless you delve into the entire problem, like, hey, what else is going on? Are you stressed? Are you sleeping okay? Are you eating all right? How is your life? How is everyone else around you? Kind of. And at this stage, especially in late 30s, early 40s, we are also going through our menopausal, perimenopausal changes. Hormones are up and down, up and down. So it's not just one thing. It's not just one TSH value, which is normal, that explains the whole picture. I
mm,
want to take a look at your iron level. I want to take a look at your ferritin, your B12, your vitamin D. How are you doing with all of that? Again, lifestyle. How are
yeah.
you sleeping if things are not good? So when you go to functional medicine and they find your thyroid problem, if it's the thyroid, yes, it's adjusting medicine. I would say it's very quick and I can do it very easy.
Mhm.
Adjusting lifestyle, which is mostly responsible for most of our problems,
Yes,
takes time and patience. So,
it
yeah,
does.
we work together. We work together to get to the root cause of what's causing it. So,
Yeah, I think if more people heard that we really do wanna find the problem, it would be a lot easier. However, trust in conventional medicine is very low these days, right?
yeah,
And you and I both lived through COVID, but I think if we take a big picture view, we'll find that COVID didn't cause the lack of trust. It just unmasked it and accelerated it.
yeah,
So
mhm,
how do you we're competing with, Facebook mom group, the doctor essential there. We're competing with Dr. Google. Dr. Chat GPT now has
Sure.
entered my office, right? So, how do you build trust when you have all these competing thought processes? And to your point, you can't do it in 15 minutes. No one can. But even you and I both have longer appointment types. So, what is your approach? How do you connect with people as a human and really build that trust for their care?
The first thing is, I'm sure you are doing it every day, is you listen. You listen what they are trying to tell you, what's bothering them. One patient came to me saying, "Hey, I'm doing everything right. I'm eating well, I'm exercising, but I'm gaining weight and feeling exhausted. Labs have been normal elsewhere, but when you look closely at the patterns, the insulin resistance, sleep, stress, things will start to make sense." So, listening is the key, even though we are kind of, in a rushed environment. If you listen to what's been going on, look at their labs, put everything there together with their life, address everything, all the pieces, put them together, then you realize, okay, things are making sense. Building trust is key.
Yes.
And we have to let our patients know that, hey, we are working together. The
Hmm.
patient is the driver of their health. I
Right.
am just there to support them, just
Yes.
to help them kind of navigate this journey.
I like to tell my patients, think of me as an analogous form to your financial advisor, right? Your financial advisor doesn't go invest all your money without talking to you. You get to
Mhm.
choose. So I
Yeah,
will tell you your choices and then you choose what you do with this information because you
100%,
have to be
100%.
in the driver's seat. So maybe let's take a step back. We've dived a little bit into these different issues that you see regularly, and you have so many credentials. You're well studied, very successful. I'm wondering if we take all of that away, though. Who is Dr. Neely without the credentials?
I am a mom, first of all. I have two boys. One is 18, a senior, going to college is this year soon. My younger one, he's 15, and he's my special needs child. He has autism, which is where my whole thing started. When he was 1.5 and he was diagnosed, my whole life changed.
Mhm.
Everything changed. Everything was about finding the right therapy for him, finding the right doctors, somebody who would listen what's going on with my child. It's very difficult to see him going through what he does on a daily basis. He's verbal, he talks, but he's such a affectionate kid that he teaches me how to love others.
Yeah.
So he brought the best in me, I would say. And I'm also married. My husband is my childhood friend. We have known each other all our lives. My mom and our moms tell us that we were born in the same hospital a month apart, and we have always, like, pretty much he's the only one, and I am
I
the
love
only one for him, hopefully. So,
yes.
uh,
That's
and I
beautiful.
live in Boston area. I've always been here. I did my school, my residency, and my fellowship. Fellowship was in Michigan, but my residency and everything is in Boston. I
Mhm,
came back right after my fellowship, and I've been working with Mass General Brigham pretty
mhm.
much most of my career. And very recently, I started my own practice, EndoHarmony, which is, all this time that I got to spend with my patients, and I feel like it's blessing. I learn every day from my patients. They teach me like, you know I teach them. So
I love that. And for our listeners who may not realize, Mass General is a big deal. It's connected with Harvard. It's not something that's nothing. So tell us, you had that, and at least on paper, it must have looked great. What made you change? Why did you leave?
it's all about the time that I was doing with my patients. So most of my patients have been with me for 15 to 18 years, most of them. And when they are coming to me, and especially now, the ones that they were in 30s, now they are in 40s, going through perimenopause, and usually they are going to their OB and coming back to me about their thyroid or whatever reason I've been following them, and they felt like we are so unheard. i
Mhm.
i don't know, I keep trying. So, and I do want to talk to them about their lifestyle. I do want to talk to them about their hormone and where they are. But we do get very short amount of time with every patient. And that was not working well. Last year, April or May, I was very sad. One of my patients, um, she was not doing very well, and I wish I had another hour with her, but I didn't. So that made me pretty sad. And me and my husband, I was telling him about it. And then I decided, okay, maybe time to start my own thing where I can give my time to my patients. And I love talking, as you can see.
All good. All good. So how long were the appointments in your old practice? How long did you have and how many patients a day did you have to see?
I do have 20 minutes for follow up and 40 minutes for a new patient. But in that same 40 minutes, we have the medical assistant doing the intake as well.
Okay.
And then they have, the front desk, the checkout, all of that.
Yes.
But yeah, in my new practice, I have 90 minutes for my initial visit. And I'm pretty much it. Like I would start them
Okay.
from their initial thing till the end. And my follow-ups are about 45 minutes. So I do get my time with my
Yeah.
patients.
It makes a big difference.
It
Uh,
does.
there's
Time,
been
you were saying how you build trust, and that's how you build trust,
I
right? You
100%
listen to what's going on. You listen to what's going on in their daily lives, and you make this relationship with patient. I mean, you know their kids, you know their family, who else is there, what else is going on, and
yes.
so
And so do you have your practice set up as a direct care model? Is that what I might have heard? Okay.
that's yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So you were
I have
completely
multiple state licenses.
uh-huh.
I do see patients outside of Massachusetts, so like Maryland or Arkansas,
Okay.
New
All over.
Hampshire, Maine,
Wow.
yeah, New York. But every state has a different insurance requirement, so it's very difficult to deal with
Yeah.
that. So I do see patients like it's a direct, either a monthly payment service or they see me if it's just a one-time visit, which is usually never the case. But if it's just a consult, then I would see them, and then I usually give them a super bill and they
Okay.
can get submitted through their insurance.
Got it. Okay. So, for our listeners who may not be familiar with direct care, that's outside of insurance, but we can provide documentation so it can be submitted to insurance should the patient choose to do that on their own. And I'm curious, I get the sense, and this is all anecdotal coming out of my own brain. So tell me if I'm wrong here, okay? You're the expert. In perimenopausal years, it
Oh,
seems like sometimes women will unexpectedly have their thyroid dose change, and it doesn't seem to be real clear to them or me when it's going to magically happen. And I'm curious, can you shed any light on that? Is that real? What should either doctors or the patients be advocating for in these situations, or did I make all that up?
no, you didn't. You did
Oh,
not. There is absolutely 100% truth in it. So when we are going through perimenopause, right, it's not that your estrogen dropped overnight. It's the fluctuation, the up and down of the hormones. Plus, we are gaining weight right in the midsection. We are gaining what we call as visceral fat, which is so bad for us.
uh-huh.
And all of this is happening. We have estrogen receptors everywhere in our body, head to toe, including our gut. Our absorption is affected. Our weight is changing. Our gut bacteria is changing. All of this is changing in this area. Patients are telling me, I forget. I myself am going through that age and I'm at a gas station and I forgot my zip code. I mean, this is
Yes,
all happening. And
right.
I had to
Menopause,
Google it. So all the weight gain and absorption issues and gaining the weight around your belly area, all of this is affecting. So yes, indeed, the thyroid dose does change. And we have to take a look at, again, the whole picture, what's going on. Some patients who are on, let's say, oral hormones, the estrogen also affects the metabolism of your thyroid hormone, increases the binding globulin. So then again, you have to adjust the dose if somebody is starting oral hormones. So things are happening in this time of our lives and they're legit. They're real. We are not making them up.
So if you were questioning that maybe you're going crazy, you're not. It is real.
No.
Talk to someone who knows menopause medicine really well. I'm curious, shifting maybe more to the GLPs. Endocrinology in our communities really were hot on the GLPs before the rest of us figured out what they were. I often see, especially in my ladies in their late 30s and 40s again, that whole perimenopause overlap with GLPs. What I what I see is often there's confusion around bone mass, muscle mass, things like their hair falling out, their fertility changing or maybe increasing because of these. So, from an endocrinology view and a
Yeah.
holistic midlife menopause moment, how do we combine these in a way that really help women get the best care?
Excellent question. I love this. We see patients on GLP-1 all the time, and you're right. We've been using for our diabetics forever. I mean, this recently, after Oprah announced it, I guess, or something, it came into picture. But the way GLP-1 work, they work on the physiology of the problem. They work on reducing your insulin resistance, reducing inflammation. They work really well in not just reducing your weight, but also it's a like I said, it works on the physiology. So it the way it works is that it slows your stomach food emptying. So food is sitting there longer. So you're not hungry for a long time. Second mechanism is it works on your brain satiety center. So you are full quicker. The third one, it works on the glucagon producing cells in your pancreas. So that way it kind of reduces the blood sugar. Patients do lose weight because, again, it's targeting the disease process. It's not just curbing your appetite. They do lose weight. So I tell them that if you're losing 20 pounds on this GLP, it's not going to be all 20 pounds of fat, right? You're going to lose some fat and muscle too. So if we are not careful while you are using the GLP-1, it's going to give us more problem in future than benefit. So you gotta make sure, and especially as we continue to age, 30 to 40 grams of protein with every single meal that you are eating. You have to do strength training, weight bearing exercises, maybe 3 to 4 times a week. 45 minutes each. Find your day. One day should be upper body, next day lower body, hit your core the third day, and alternate days. So we have to do that. Otherwise, losing muscle is detrimental. Muscle is the currency of our health. I mean, if we started losing muscle, we're going to lose memory later. We're going to have low bone mass and all of it. These medications are good. They prevent heart disease. They also have good effect on your kidney functions. So they are good medicine, but there are some side effects too. And regarding fertility, so I see this. I have at least 7 or 8 patients right now going on. They have PCOS. So they always had difficulty getting pregnant. And the etiology of PCOS, why it stops you from getting pregnant, is being overweight, insulin resistance. And these medications are targeting that. So I do tell them you cannot be pregnant on this medicine. You have to have some mode of contraception and you have to stop it 2 months before planning for any pregnancy. However, sometimes patients think that, hey, I never got pregnant by myself. I had to have an
Right.
IVF,
It's not
and
going to
now they are
happen.
not correct.
Mhm.
And it happens. They
Mhm.
got pregnant on it. And we don't have any human data really, how this affects. But in animals, we have seen it is teratogenic. It's not good for you.
Yeah.
So yes, it's helpful. If PCOS patient is saying, I'm having difficulty getting pregnant, I'll start them on it. I will give a solid, few months to a year, have them lose weight, and then stop it. Then plan for pregnancy. It's helpful, but you cannot be pregnant on it. So
Right.
yes, I've seen it happen. And, we are following those kids very, one of them is still pregnant, but rest of them have delivered. So
Mhm.
we are following those kids. Who
Yeah.
knows?
There's not a
Mm.
lot known, and to your
No,
point,
no.
by being teratogenic for our listeners, that means that there's deformities of the developing baby, that there's a problem that may terminate the pregnancy involuntarily, so it
True.
is a big deal. 2 months washout period is standard of
Has to
care.
be there. Has
Yeah,
to be there.
and, I mean, we like these shots because once a week you get to only do it, right? But the problem is, they take so long to get out of your system, so
True.
the other thing I'm hearing a lot, and I would say maybe the last 6 months has become a thing. I'm pretty confident it started on social media,
Yeah.
but it's this idea, and I actually hear a lot of my colleagues start to pick it up, is the idea of microdosing GLPs. Are you running into much of that? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Yes, it works.
Okay.
Microdosing works. And so let's say there are patients who have lost quite a bit of weight. And I am thinking of a nurse right now. So she has lost 55 pounds. She is currently at a BMI of 23. Her insurance stopped covering for her because she's at a good BMI. She doesn't need
Mhm.
it anymore. She stops it, and within 6 weeks, she gained 15 pounds.
Goodness.
So I had to start her back. And at the lowest dose, she's back again to a healthy BMI of 23. She's keeping it off. So we can maintain the lowest possible dose for as long as patients are able to maintain it. We don't
Mm.
have to continue losing the weight. But at the same time, you don't want that food noise either, which comes
Right.
back right after you stop. These medications are good, but this is
Yeah.
a disease we are trying to treat. It's not
Right.
going to be one and done. We got to be on it for some time, and we don't stop it abruptly ever. We want to have, and another microdosing that I see is these days, insurances are not covering it. So these medications are very expensive. So
Mhm.
patients get it and then they try to just stay on the lowest possible dose in the vials to just kind of
Yeah.
keep their weight steady. It works.
Yeah.
It absolutely works.
What are your thoughts on some of the compounded GLPs? Do you use them or do you think they're unsafe?
Uh, Good question
Yeah,
and
it's
very
a tricky one.
controversial
So
question
wherever
too.
you wanna go with that.
So there are, if I have a compounding pharmacy, I trust, I believe, I know they do a good job and they are the only one doing it for me.
Mhm,
Yes, fine,
mhm.
we can do it. But if it's coming from different people making different amounts, it's going to be
Yeah,
good this month, not good next month. It's not FDA controlled. It's not
right.
really controlled by any guidelines or anything. It depends on your pharmacist or the team that's making it for you. So that's my main worry about it. But in the past, when my patients were unable to get it,
Mhm,
and they came back to me 6 months later that, hey, I found this company and they are giving it to me, and they were able to lose weight. But
mhm.
they did say that some months I'm more hungrier than the other,
Yeah.
even though my dose doesn't change,
Right.
which is you always can run into it. So you have to find something very reliable, stick with it. But compounding, there is no way to say, yes, it's great, just
Mhm.
because it's not going to be regulated very well.
Yeah, it's not consistent.
It's not consistent. Yeah.
So you mentioned something a couple of times I wanna pull out a little bit more. It's the idea of food noise, and
Mhm, mhm.
we in our practice, we screen every adult every year for binge eating disorder.
Yeah.
Because it must have been 8, 10 years ago now if I think back that I read something like 99% of people with this don't know they have it, right? Which is a horrifying statistic, like, you have this thing. But the point I'm really going for is binge eating disorder is a brain disorder, and obesity, we think of it, in lay people world, right? We don't think about it as being a brain disorder.
Mhm.
But as an obesity medicine doctor, I have really started to say, this is not a metabolism problem. This is a brain problem. And if we fix the
100%.
brain, the rest will fall in place. Do you agree or
100%. So binge eating disorder is not about lack of willpower. It's a medical
correct?
condition.
Yes.
People experience episode of eating large amounts of food. Often they have no sense of control. They lose the control. And most common eating disorder, most like closely linked with all metabolic and emotional health.
Mhm.
So it is indeed coming, it's not just about people get very sad that I lost my willpower and I did it. It's just
Right.
like it's a disease and we have to treat it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's mix
I
of biology and your brain reward pathways, stress, anxiety, emotional triggers, all of it.
I have started trying to help my patients see that, the fact that your body can gain weight, you see it as a bad thing, right? Because that's what the culture we live in. But
Mm.
1,000 years ago, your genetics would not have survived if you could not gain
Yeah,
weight.
yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's actually a very normal thing, and we have to replicate the biology or the environment of our ancestors because that's the biology we have, and that's not the environment we've created for ourselves. And then we
Right.
beat ourselves up, right? And then if you add to it any of the other factors you talked about earlier, the sleep deprivation, the hormones, the working, the full-time and unpaid job, right? The kids, the chronic stress, right? Like, of course, we're going to see our body respond in the way it was primed to. So,
Mhm.
really reframing this as it's not that it's a comfortable problem, but this problem is one in which nothing has actually gone wrong. Your body's doing what it's supposed to do.
Wow.
Let's now support you in the environment and in your brain and in the rest of it because you're right, it's not a willpower problem. It doesn't mean you
We,
can't have decision fatigue, but it's not
yes.
a willpower
And we got
problem.
to be kind to ourselves. We are
Yes.
never kind to ourselves. We judge ourselves so quickly and
Yes.
so much. And just following the society norms, like, oh my God, I'm not this person. I'm not this tiny, thin person. And we judge ourselves every single time. We got to be kind to our body every single day, morning,
Yes.
evening, night,
Yes. And the more I study this, and you probably have seen this too, is I am increasingly convinced that there is something to the idea of a woman's cycle impacting not just cravings and urges, because we all feel that,
Mhm.
but the metabolic response and how well do the cells respond to insulin. And I don't think there's any study there yet that proves that. But tell us a little bit menstrual cycles, luteal phase versus follicular, and explain to our listeners what I even just said. Make it sound normal. But why is that important to consider?
So, since from puberty till we hit menopause, right, our cycles are always changing. The follicular phase is starting right after your period, right after your menstruation ends, right? Estrogen is rising, your energy will improve. Appetite usually tend to be lower. Most people feel like, hey, I'm more in control, easier to eat healthy. Then your estrogen peaks, your mood and energy are at a high. Appetite is still okay, and that's when ovulation happens. And then the luteal phase starts to, take place after ovulation, before period. Your progesterone will start going up, your metabolism will slightly increase, then blood sugar will start to kind of fluctuate. This is when your cravings will increase, especially carbs, sweets, your hunger will increase, emotional eating may rise, right? And then the late luteal phase, which is when I see a bunch of patients with their PMDD symptoms, which is, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, or PMS, we call it too. Your estrogen progesterone drops, your serotonin drops, sugar craving, low energy, being irritable, feeling out of control with food, all of this happens. So your cycle, I mean, women body is amazing, right? Your
Yes.
cycles change, and it's hard to believe in a month we are going through all of this.
Mhm.
And now imagine this during perimenopause. There is
Yes.
no control. There is no way to predict, hey, this month am I going to ovulate,
Right.
double ovulate, or not ovulate? So
Mhm.
think about the, issues that we deal with at that time. My
Yes.
husband is finally realizing that it is real. So,
I talk about this with my husband who's not in medicine, and he just kinda looks at me like, "I think you're a little loco there, kiddo." But, I'm like, "Just wait, just wait." What I think is a little bit unfair is that I'm going through perimenopause while my daughter's going through adolescence. Like, this is a reverse
uh,
adolescence punishment, right?
100%.
It's the acne, the mood swings, the bloating, it's all and of course, like, half the time we're synced up and half the time we're not. It's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh." So,
Oh,
the
absolutely.
struggle's real.
Yeah.
One
I do
thing
tell my,
Oh,
sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, no, you're good.
Yeah. I was saying that I do talk to my patients about how to work with their cycle, right? Don't
Mm,
think that you lost discipline at this time of your
yes,
cycle or something is wrong with you, or, it's the hormones driving your appetite and cravings. Your body is preparing for potential pregnancy the way nature intended us to do our
yes.
thing, right? So during your luteal phase, try to increase your protein intake, which will help stabilize your blood sugar. Don't restrict your food intake. Add complex carbs, however, food that are not very easily metabolizable by the body, white rice, white bread, or anything like that. Avoid those. You
Mhm,
know, try adding more lentils, more food with fibers, more vegetables, increase your protein, prioritize your sleep.
mhm.
And then plan snacks so that you're not overeating end of the day, which is one of the things that I often see with my
Yes,
patients. That
yes,
and avoid extreme dieting, skipping meals, or over restricting carbs. These makes cravings worse.
yes.
So again, it's not a discipline issue, it's hormonal. In the second half of the cycle, your body actually needs more energy. Your brain is wired to seek it. When you get that, the goals shift, right? Then we are not fighting cravings. Just we are trying to work with the body, and then you feel everything is going easy after.
So you have to explain to me in like layman terms here, laywoman terms, I should say. I totally get what you're saying, but
Yeah.
boy, that late luteal phase, that last week, I don't really care if it's a whole grain or if it's just Ruffles cheddar potato chips. Like that, why does that make me feel so good if that's exactly the wrong thing, right? Like there's obviously addictive chemicals, and I'm being a bit facetious, but that is
Yeah.
so hard, I think, to get
It
past for
is so
so many of
true.
us.
Those ads when they show you cannot just eat one. So you
Yes.
you
Yes.
cannot.
That's right.
So the best thing in my experience that I mean we all go through that. We are women, we have our cycles, we all go through that. The best thing that I feel has helped is rather than restricting yourself, right? I don't have to say, of course, we don't want to eat processed food or highly processed food. They're just not good for us. You cannot stop. You keep eating chips, you want to have soda after, and it just keeps adding up. Don't keep them in your house. That's one
Right.
thing. But
Yes.
rather than saying, hey, I don't want to eat chips, I don't want to drink soda, how about if I had a good, healthy, hearty meal first? Filled with protein, lots of fiber. I'm full. If you're
Mhm.
full, your cravings will not bother you as much. So you're not going to reach for that packet of chips middle of the night if you're full already with good, full, whole meal. You know how we talk about that plate thing, right?
Yes.
Half of vegetables and then protein and then your carbs.
Mhm.
Literally, it works because it's keeping us full. The protein and fiber is keeping our sugar stable, and we are not dealing with these crashes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we could
Mhm.
go on that. I know there's all sorts of interesting research on the gut microbe and how that affects
Oh, yeah.
cravings, right? And to your point, that second half of the cycle, we are potentially, before the modern era, we may have been pregnant and not known it. And your body needs all that nutrient for the developing pregnancy. So lots of interesting things there. Before I totally skip away from this, there are an increasing number of women who have an IUD for contraception or otherwise, who've had a uterine ablation. They don't get
Okay.
true menstrual bleeding anymore, but they're still cycling and they're still frustrated about how do I eat? How do I know when to eat more, less, etc. Do you want to comment on any of that?
So, a good question, right? So, with the IUD, if let's say they have Mirena or other, uh, your cycle is still happening because it's controlled by your ovaries, your pituitary gland. Uterus is where the bleeding is happening. It's not controlling your hormones. So, the hormones still are fluctuating. So, cycle timing and ovulation based on the symptoms. And when bleeding happens, the uterine lining is controlling it. Your hormones are again controlled by your ovaries, your pituitary. So we can have a cycle without bleeding or bleeding changes without changing hormones. Um, you still have PMS symptoms. You still have hormonal fluctuations. Copper IUD has no hormones, so cycle remains the same hormonally. But other IUDs, or even after uterine ablation, periods will be very light or they'll stop, but ovaries still function normally. So patients will still have the same PMS, other hormonal symptoms, perimenopausal changes.
Yeah. I think that's a easy misconception that's lost in the rapid
Yeah.
communication of fast visits is people don't realize their ovaries are not the ones being affected here. It's just the uterus. So thank you for that.
Just the uterus, you got it. You got it. Yeah.
You know, I have dragged you all over the place in the endocrine world. What have we not talked about that you think is really important for women, particularly women in their 30s, let's say 35 to
Yeah.
55? What are they not hearing that they need to be? What are they hearing that's harming them? Give us some insight from your perspective.
So one of the major things or main things that I do here is I see pregnant patients. That's just seeing gestational diabetics. That's my passion. I love it. I love what I do. When they come with their babies and they tell me, oh, you're their second mama. I love it too. So we
That's
never
special.
talk about preparing the women for their pregnancies in advance. Most of them are not planning for it. So that's one thing that I see is missing. Then, and I see a lot of diabetics and they don't know, okay, I have to have this, my blood sugar needs to be here before I even start. planning for pregnancy, or my weight needs to be down because I'm going to be gaining more weight. And even if I don't have diabetes, I am high risk. Indian people, Hispanic patients, all of them are very high risk genetically to
Mhm.
develop diabetes. So starting them or preparing them for this important phase of life is very important. And I feel like we don't do a good job there. Once
Agree.
the patients are pregnant and their sugars are running up and down, we can manage that. In pregnancy, it's insulin. We can try that. We manage that. But I don't think we do a good job preparing preconception, making
Yes.
them ready with what do we need to look at.
Mhm.
Reduce your insulin resistance, work on your diet. We keep talking about diet, right? There are so many diets available, so many things. We all talk about, okay, high protein or low carb, or the bottom line is we can make every diet work as long as we are getting our whole nutrition, whole food with every meal. We can make it work. Protein and fiber is the key to keep everything stable for you. And then you, of course, are going to have your carb. Of course, you're going to have your cheat days here and there, but that's not going to define. Exercise, very important in our stage, is very, very important. In our 20s and 30s, I guess we are so young and our bodies can take everything we put on it. But in 40s, if we are not exercising, I tell my patients all the time, hey, it's not that I want you to look pretty. And of course I do, but that's
Right.
not the motive. I want you to be feeling strong when you are 60. In your
Yes.
40s, you exercise, so you could be a strong 60-year-old, 80-year
Right.
old, not breaking bones, doing your
Right.
things, not depending on anybody. So
Mhm.
that's the goal.
Play the long game.
Prepare for your future now.
Yes, yes. I really like that you brought up the gestational diabetes because, and this is what I ended up doing my TED Talk on, in part was the idea that we have a gap in women's healthcare, particularly between pregnancies and after pregnancies that have been affected by gestational diabetes or preeclampsia. And we know those moms are at higher risk for long-term badness, but we're not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
And we're not telling them, so they don't know to go do anything. And you probably have more recent stats, but something like half of all women who have gestational diabetes within 5 years will have type 2 diabetes without an intervention. Is that still the updated stat?
Almost 30%,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
30% would definitely have it. So we do screen them after they deliver, make sure diabetes is all gone. And then once every year for the first 3 years, and then you continue screening them all their life because they are, and those infants also who were born from
Right.
gestational diabetic mothers, they are also
Yes.
at higher risk for
Yes.
developing diabetes. Yeah, education is the key. We do need to keep telling our patients and talking to them that it's not one and done. Yes, it
Right.
goes away after you deliver 90% of the time, but it will come back. If we did not change our lifestyle, did
Right.
not make amends in our, food and our exercise and our sleep and stress, it's going to come back.
Absolutely. I tell our patients, this pregnancy was distressing to you because you had these things happen, but it was really a gift because it told you what the future
We now
holds
know.
for you, right?
You
And
now
now you
know.
know what to do. And it's disheartening that so many women, economically disadvantaged women, women of color, marginalized populations, prison moms, they're not getting this care, right? And it's not that they're the only ones, it goes across all spectrums, but it's very frustrating to know that we have this data and we can tell people this is coming, and yet our system isn't catching them. So if you're listening and you know someone or you have experienced gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, we're telling you now, you've heard it here, you need to work with somebody after that pregnancy too, and before your next pregnancy, that preconception planning to optimize outcomes, because not just your health, but the health of your child. The child that lived through that pregnancy environment is affected long term. And obviously, we know you love your kid and your future kid. So you heard it here. Get that care. If someone
Yeah.
wants to get in touch with you, if they want to work with you, you said you're licensed in many states. How's the best way for them to do that?
They can just go on my website, which is endo-harmony.com, ENDO, and a dash, and then HARMONY.com. And they can make like a free meet and greet appointment. So they get to know the practice, they get to know me, because building trust is very important. And most
Yes.
of my patients that I have, they are from word of mouth, right? You see one and they get you different and their family, and you're seeing mom and sister and
Yes.
friends and family, all of it. So That's the best way to do. So I would say go on the website, make an appointment, just meet and greet. We can talk. I can tell you how I work and you can tell me your problem. Then we can see if I can even help you. And then
Right.
we go from there.
And if
Yeah.
not, you'll get them pointed in the next best direction for their story.
100%.
Yep, that's the same
Absolutely.
way we do it here in St. Louis, and, you
Yeah.
know, I love that you're a certified menopause practitioner, I am as well, but I don't think that most women realize that exists, so I'll also put in a plug for the Menopause Society. It used to be the North American
100%.
Menopause Society. We'll
Yeah.
put all this in the show notes, but if you're listening and you're not sure where to connect with somebody, you want next steps, they have a great listing of everybody who's certified as well as anyone who's not certified but interested in menopausal medicine. So, a fantastic resource. Dr. Neely, thank you for being here today and giving so generously of your time and wisdom for us to learn from. I know I've had some good nuggets that I'm tucking away both as a human and as a doctor. So, thank you. For our listeners, if something in today's conversation resonated, it's because you're not crazy and you're not alone. The tension you're feeling between ambition, leadership, your health, it's real. It deserves thoughtful conversation and consideration, not just a dismissal. So, you will find deeper resources, next steps in the show notes. If this episode helped you to feel seen or heard, please share it with another ambitious woman who's navigating her own journey because we lead better when we lead together. Bye for now.